Yo digo, no la lleva al parque.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this business meeting to order. It is 7:03, pardon me, workshop. Mrs. Lazard, can you do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Lazard. Well, having no one here for our meeting, we're going to move right along. The next item on the agenda is action items, recommended approval of budget transfers. Dr. Sewell?
Okay, well, the budget transfers were included in an email yesterday or the day before? All right. So I'd like to recommend approval of the budget transfers requested by Director of Finance.
Charlene, you take it.
I'm taking notes.
Charlene's taking
I second.
Thank you.
That was a motion, correct?
Yeah, that was a motion.
Okay, I second.
And you should have gotten a copy of the budget transfers in an
Yes.
email.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything here that's exciting. They're all actually relatively small, routine kinds of transfers. The one that's really fun is moving money around to print report cards. Did we change where we usually print report cards?
I think
Yes.
We must have.
we went to a standardized report card format, and therefore they weren't printing them individually in schools.
Yeah, okay.
That Mary Rival was maybe, or Myra was coordinating the printing of a common report card. Is that correct? I don't-
Looks like it from a budget point of view. I don't know what actually happened, but
But I think the theory being we would purchase them in one place and they'd all look the same.
And they
Okay.
do not?
We're printing them in-house, so now they went to a company, a local printer. Everybody was printing them in their own schools.
Okay,
So now we're printing the local printer.
okay.
thank you. All those in favor? That's-
Is that-
Mr. French, did you vote?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Everybody voted.
That's unanimous. Thank you. And tonight's workshop topic is to set the date for the referendum and
Discuss.
so that's Chris or Dr. Chris?
No, it was not necessarily to set the date. This was just one of the items I have, is
Okay.
about the date for the
We don't
referendum.
set the date for a referendum.
date,
The Board of Finance sets the
Yeah,
date for the referendum.
that's why I'm like a
Yeah.
little,
So
okay.
before we start discussing the budget, I just want to say that Mr. Kalajian could not make it here tonight, and he sent his regrets for not being here tonight. One of the questions I have, I believe that the town passed a resolution not too long ago that they could change the date of the referendum.
Correct.
And so I believe I heard some conversation from my staff about, there was some discussion on the radio a couple days ago about the date of the referendum that could be changed. So I wanted to know if the board has any input in setting that date or any suggestion. Just wanted to know, and what you think would be the test date. I know that there's a big event in the community after, at the end of May, close to May 21st or May 19th, I believe. So I don't know if anybody knows if the referendum will still be on the 9th.
When we were leaving the school planning and design committee meeting whenever that was, beginning of the month, I was talking to Tyler on the way out, and he's on the Board of Finance, and due to the referendum change, due to the charter change that was voted on during the last election cycle, they can set the referendum from whenever they want, and the intent for that was to set it after the state had sort of
Passed their
finalized
budget.
their budget as much as we were going to get from them. And so he said that they were anticipating it not being around the May 13th, 12th date, or whatever it was. And it could be pushed back if necessary.
Close to the end of, so those are the conversations
But
that I heard.
the Board of Ed has no input in that.
No,
The Board of
they do
Finance
not.
will set that date.
Okay, so I don't know, is it feasible for us to board to speak to the Board of Finance through our liaison about what are they thinking about setting that date? It would be very helpful to us, because as we plan events to campaign for the budget,
Yeah, there'll be the first Thursday in May. That would be beneficial if they haven't set the referendum date. depending on when they set it, and depending on where the state is in their budget process.
That's not too good for us, though. I mean, we need to know a little bit, because every school district in the state that have a referendum, the ones that have it, will have a referendum when they're supposed to have it. So for us, if we have some type of idea when it's going to take place, that will help us, since this district has to campaign for their budget, you know. We have to campaign for this budget.
Yeah.
So if at the end of May, then we know how to plan our activities. If the beginning of June, no, I think it's a little dangerous if we said it's going to go along with the state budget, because who knows where the state budget is going to end up, right, Mr. French?
Well, that's what's going to be kind of unique this spring. There's going to be a lot of issues going on there. But it's, as a former chair of the Board of Finance, there's no doubt that I was hoping years ago that the state would be smart enough to set their budgets in the fall, like in October, and so that we would be prepared for whatever happens in the spring. So I think that they're taking the, not knowing how much of a cut there's going to be, since there's about $1 billion, $1.4 billion in cuts going to have to be made, or a combination of cuts and tax increases. I think the Board of Finance is going to wait as long as possible. Now, this could easily get into June. But we still will have to comply with charter so that we have our budget in place, and then we will have to prepare to try and get the budget passed whenever it's necessary.
And I agree with you. I'm just saying, whatever the board can do to speak to the Board of Finance, the Board of Education, to the Board of Finance, because I think the farther we go in the referendum for the budget into June, it makes it more difficult for us. So I'm just bringing that out there to the Board of Education, to have that on their radar screen. And if the Board of Education can speak to the Board of Finance, particularly to our liaison, and I will try to do that with Mr. Tyler, moving it out to June is very difficult for us. We'll make it difficult for us. So let's put that there.
Dr. Sewell?
The major problem that occurs is if the referendum vote occurs after the schools are closed for the year, because we already know that families disperse. As soon as the kids get out of school, some of the families are
They're on vacation.
well, it's not always vacation, but they're always, they have lots of plans that don't include being in town to vote on a budget referendum, and they're not here, before then, they're here because the kids are in school. The children are in school, they're much less likely to be here. That makes it more difficult to pass a budget.
I don't see any problem by talking to our liaisons, Mr. Griffin and Mrs. Haney, to stress our concerns. I think we can do that. Okay?
And we still have to have the budget presented to the town by March 15th.
Correct. That's
That
correct.
hasn't changed, so,
Right.
Contractual benefits, and that's this.
which is a month and a half away.
Yes.
We haven't seen numbers yet.
Okay, so today the discussion is about the budget, a little bit different than a budget workshop that we will have next week, I believe the 31st, where that budget workshop on the 31st is really intended to look at all the different cost drivers and numbers. This particular session today, we're just giving you a little taste of numbers, but Mrs. Lambert mentioned the last time when we look at budget priorities, well, where are we getting the budget priorities? And I told her that from the strategic plan and district initiative. So really, the purpose of this one tonight is really to hear from you, for you to ask questions. I did bring some more information that I did not include it in the packet that was sent to you. For example, what were the different requests from the different school, so you can see what people requested. And the cost of increase in salary, I did bring that today, and the cost of benefits and what that would look like. So I do have that information. I will share that with you in a second. But basically, is to hear from you what questions, what concerns do you have as I am working with my team and with Mr. Johnson developing the budget. Do want to point out to you that enrollment is increasing. I'm not going to go over the budget process. You do have a sheet with the budget process, so you know where we are and how we're meeting and what we're doing. And so far, we are, I believe, on target. Right, Chris? We were on target with the meetings. I do need to still meet with central office. I already met with Chris but I think Friday we'll be meeting with central office. Central office have their budget, right, Chris?
I'll send it out to them in the morning.
Please, if you could do that.
They are ready to be sent out, I just haven't
Okay,
sent them
good,
out.
to meet with them. Kind of like HR need to add some things to her budget that she did not put in budget. I did send you the goals of the strategic plan, and some of you already have the strategic plan in your retreat packet, it's all there. But that is in case you have any question regarding Initiative A versus Initiative B, that you can see how we're aligning those. I did want you to have enrollment, because enrollment is increasing in the district, and so is the cost of special ed as numbers increases, where we've seen a drastic increases in special ed. We had a lengthy discussion today about that, and we've seen a lot of needs, students with lots of need and very high needs, needs that are coming beyond 40,000 or 50,000. We're talking needs of 100,000 and beyond.
Yeah, talking about special ed, are we still having those kids that went out to the school on Main Street? Are they coming back, or they staying there?
You mean the
Path
Path
Academy?
The Path Academy, yes. Are they coming back, or they staying there, or what was?
So we
the
do have
situation?
kids that go to Path and stay there. We
Yeah.
do have kids that go to Path and come back to us.
Okay.
And that's a dilemma with the Path Academy, is usually after October 1st, by October 10, 11, we're getting some of their kids back that were over there from the beginning of the year. We do have a good arrangement with them where we have a special ed teacher out over there, and then we pay the salary of the special ed teacher, because before, what we had was that we used to pay for the services. And so that was a very big bill, much higher than the
Than
cost
having
of
a
a
teacher
teacher.
there.
Oh, 3 times much higher. So after lengthy conversations, we are now paying the cost of the teacher versus paying for the services that were over the 200,000 per year.
Astronomical.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, so that, but special ed is increasing, and the new director already is thinking about some actions that we will be taking, but I just wanted you to have that and say to you, is increasing high needs. The kids that we're getting are very, very high needs.
So any kid that is there can say, tomorrow I don't want to go there, or I go back to the high school,
Yes,
and they can do that.
they can do
It's
that.
nothing like they have to stay there a certain time. And
This
then-
is by choice.
It's by
No,
choice.
By choice.
Usually they come back to us after October 1st.
Now, I just have, because Mrs. Lambert is our liaison that sits on that board.
I'm a community member, I'm no
Oh.
longer the Board of Ed liaison, because there was an
Okay.
objection to that by the chair of the board.
Okay.
Mr. Hernandez came to me and said that there was an objection to me being the board liaison, but I'm happy to act as that if you'd like me to.
Yes, because that has never come from me personally.
He said he had a
so
conversation with you and that you were going to appoint someone else and that they
No.
didn't want to lose me, so they made me a community member.
That has never been officially, okay? So Dr. Garcia and I spoke, and we always thought you are liaison.
Oh, I'm still a member of the board, I'm
So-
on the Matrix Committee, I'm on a couple other committees.
What I would like for you to come back is with a report on numbers, on how many kids do we have at Path Academy? Because I'm hearing, kids come back after October, and that means that they keep the tuition, but yet we have to continue to educate them after October 1st. So they must have those numbers. We certainly have numbers as well.
According to Bob Rath and Ms. Lafreniere, the principal there, 7 kids after October 1st from Windham High School were brought down to were sent down to Path Academy.
From Windham High.
From Windham High were sent down there after October 1st. And the main reason that students leave Path Academy to come up here is in their senior year, they only need 21 credits here to graduate, or they need 24 at Path Academy to graduate. So why would they stay for an extra semester there when they can graduate either with their class or with the class after their class here because they need less credits?
And
Well,
still meeting their requirements?
Last year, they sent us 13.
So, another question, if they come back, they go there because they have special needs, right?
They go
Not
there because they're
necessarily.
over,
Behavioral?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to answer these questions
Go
or
ahead.
not. They go there because they're overage and undercredited for the grade level that they're in Wyndham Public Schools, or any other school. They come from Waterford, New London, Norwich, we have a satellite office in Norwich, and other surrounding towns, Mansfield, E.O. Smith has sent some students, so surrounding towns, but they come from as far away as New London
So
or
what
Waterford.
happens when they come back? What happens?
We have
I mean,
to
where-
educate
where are
them.
they placed?
In the high school.
They get
Well,
re-enrolled here in the high
even-
school.
Even if they're over age?
I'm
Yes.
sorry? Even if, we are obligated to educate them until they're 21.
Correct. That's by statute.
Says state law.
State law.
So, a question I have, how come they get all the bulk of the money? Why can't we pay them on a monthly basis on the students going there? Instead of them getting the money, then the
comes from the
students coming
state.
back.
Come from the state.
They're a
State.
Then we
charter.
need to have the state take a look at our,
So actually, the money comes to
Registers.
us, but it comes through the state based on their enrollment.
and we should only pay on month-to-month service, so we...
We pay like every quarter,
It
right?
does not work that way from the state. It's
No, no, I'm
legislatively not like that.
no, I'm saying that we need to change that.
We pay them 4 times, 3 times a year. But the issue is, after October 1st, that student count. So even if the student had left, the students were there October 1st, count to the rest of the school year.
Well, then it needs to
They
be
count
changed
for them,
legislatively.
not
But
for
for them.
They have
us.
to pay.
For them, not for us.
Yeah.
So specifically, what are you looking for me to get for information?
I'm looking for data as far as, at the beginning of the year, September, how many of our kids do they have enrolled at Path Academy? After October, how many kids leave Path Academy and come back to Windham High?
And she also was saying that some leave Windham High on October 1st over there.
Right.
So you want those numbers.
Vice
too.
versa.
Right.
Vice
Yep.
versa.
Okay. We have a board meeting next week, or the week after. No, we don't have one until March because
March.
of February vacation.
Correct.
So I will, I'm meeting with her on Monday, though, and Bob Rath, so I will see if I can get her to get the information from me
Perfect.
sooner. Because I know there's an audit that the state does to all schools, and I was there in
Yes.
the office when they were doing the audit, so I'm sure they have the numbers concrete by now.
Perfect, thank you.
So the next page have our contractual salary agreement, and I want to give you the cost right away in a moment. These are the increases of all the contracts. Some of them are still to be determined. And then you have the benefits, medical plans and benefits, and I have those numbers for you. So this is more a conversation with you about your question, your thinking.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
In the last page of this report,
So can I ask a couple of questions about the
Dr.
enrollment?
Garcia, should I give one too?
So I'm curious as to, because this is just gross enrollment, and,
Based on October 1st.
yeah, but it's enrollment for the whole district. So,
how much should bear?
so there are two questions. One is, are we getting increases because of increases coming through the elementary schools? Are we getting increases because of students who, at one point, there were 400 or so students who were eligible to go to Windham High School who are going to high school somewhere else? Are we changing those numbers?
Okay.
And then the other thing is the financial crisis in Puerto Rico has led to a shift, a population shift. I know we're getting an increase in students from the island, which may be long-term, may be temporary, but, so when we look at our numbers going up from 2014, the last couple of years, the question is, what's causing them to go up? Is the population of the town going up? Are we doing a better job of getting children to go to Windham High School as opposed to leaving to go somewhere else? And how much of that increase is a result of the financial difficulty in Puerto Rico?
Okay, so I have some answers for you, and the one that I do not, I will get to you. The high school increase is due in ninth grade. We have a larger percentage of students leaving in eighth grade into ninth grade into the high school this year. I don't have the exact number, but the increase of the high school had 523 students. Now it has close to 600.
Okay, so we're getting more of the eighth
increase
graders are going to Windham High as opposed to
To the
going somewhere
10,
else.
right.
That's a good thing.
That's
Okay.
one factor, not the total. We have a lot of new arrivals.
Okay.
And so we have a lot of new arrivals coming also to the high school and to the middle school. At the elementary level, I would say the school that has a lot of new arrivals will be Windham and Windham Center are the two that are getting the majority of new arrivals.
Where is the new arrivals program centered?
Depends on what school. We have a new arrivals school, program at Sweeney,
Okay,
okay? We have a new arrivals program here at the middle school.
at the
And
high
at
school?
And the
high
high
school.
school.
So there's none in Wyndham Center, North Wyndham?
There's one there too, but it's called a little bit different. We have a teacher that provide native language instruction. But for next year, for example, we have to have a new arrivals program at
Wyndham Center.
North Wyndham that we didn't have this year.
So,
So we were talking about classroom oversizing and portables and stuff like that in the budget and finance meeting. Wouldn't it make more sense to consolidate it into a room like, into a building like Sweeney that had more room?
Well, that's a very good question. I was discussing that one of the things the board needs to, we're going to move, next year, we're looking at moving a new arrivals program to Sweeney because they have the space there. So that will mean that if you live in Natchog District or somewhere, we will have to transport them to Sweeney, just because we have the space at Sweeney. But eventually, part of the master plan will be, okay, what is the purpose of Sweeney, or what can we do with Sweeney? Because Sweeney does have more space than the others, but not that much space than the other schools.
But that also brings us to think about if you're transporting kids across the district from Natchog to Sweeney, that's also going to bring us, increase our costs on transportation.
Yeah.
So that's something that we need to think about, too.
But right now, as you can see in, I don't know if I give it, Mrs. Lambert has it, the other board members do not, I'm going to give it to him. One of the things that we put in the capital improvement is a portable for North Windham. And because they really overcrowded in North Windham. And moving some teachers out of classroom and putting the special, like Sweeney, in a portable, and making that a classroom, because there's no space in North Windham. North Windham also is close to 500 students, so it's up there to the top. And then the high school. The middle school also has increased, not to the level of the high school, but their numbers are increasing. They started in the 420, and they're up to, 520, and they're up to 557. So the numbers are increasing.
Well, we were talking during the budget meeting, which is when I got that paper Dr. Garcia was just referring to, Dr. Sewell has it as well.
Yeah.
Part of the school planning and design committee, when it was first started by Dr. Adamowski, one that Mr. Kalajian now has, and one of the things was eliminating the portable classrooms because they aren't safe. Not structurally, they're structurally safe, but in case of a lockdown or something like that, it's much harder to secure an external building. And so Dr. Garcia and Dr. Sewell and I and Mr. Johnson talked about other options instead of external classrooms that, in this day and age is something we actually have to think about. So I'm not sure that that's the best bet.
if we're successful in moving the Compañeros program entirely to the middle school facility, that'll take a lot of pressure off of North Wyndham.
Yes.
That's exactly what you should be looking at.
How quickly can that happen?
So let me give you some good news about that. Program-wise, we are moving along with that. Space-wise, Mr. Roach already met with, gave us some ideas, give us some suggestion. But the Department of Education does send a grant out for $500,000 for Alliance District for school, for a building facility. And we believe, we were thinking that we could get some money out of that grant to make some of the changes at the middle school.
The middle school.
According to Wayne Donaldson, he believed roughly about $300,000 to make the change that need to be made. The grant is for $500,000. I don't think we'll be allowed to do all of those. I know that small toilets and things can be in that grant. I just skimmed through it. I didn't go through the whole grant, but if we can get some money out of that grant, it's for Alliance District, and I believe $500,000 is what is allowed to us, then we could put some money towards the middle school in making those changes. Chris, do you know exactly, it's $500,000, right, the grant? 580,000.
Now, Mr. Donaldson, he said the cost is around $300,000?
And that's what he told me to ask him. He
So
has,
if the cost is around $300,000, why would we dump $200,000 in portable and not go for the $300,000
That makes
and hope on a
sense.
reimbursement? Because
Correct.
once the portable's there, that's, foundation and everything
right.
else.
So that's why I said, Chris and I, and actually,
portable.
Bill also, Bill facility, will be sitting down with Mr. Donaldson before Friday and going over this. We just receive it, I just received it today, and it's the wish list, and there's something that we said, yeah, something that we say, no. If we can get the money in the grant to do the middle school, it doesn't make sense to put money in the portable.
Correct.
It's cost effective.
Well, I think one of Mr. French's points was that the cost of doing the portable is within sight of the cost of doing the middle school ourselves.
Correct.
We're not going to get
States-
reimbursement for a portable.
No, you're not going to get reimbursed.
No, so,
So you go for the grant, hope for the best.
hope for the grant, but it seems to me that the correct plan is to try and get the Compañeros program into the middle school as quick as we reasonably can.
And I don't want anyone to think that, we're putting our children in danger. Those portable classrooms are used, the ones that are already in place, as reading rooms and intervention rooms and stuff like that. They're not housing full classrooms anymore in order to minimize the number of students that would have to go outside and go to a portable classroom and stuff like that. We're trying to minimize that as much as we can. But with some overcrowding in our buildings, they've been necessary and used as such.
Even without those issues, they're an operating expense. If we can get the Compañeros program into the middle school and then do some redistricting to take advantage of the capacity created, and then we ought to be able to get rid of the portable classroom at Windham Center and not put a portable classroom in North Wyndham.
Well, the one at Sweeney was, I think, in the report from Bob Roach, when you did the original
Huh?
7 binders or
binders.
8 binders or whatever, was built in the late 70s, and it was only supposed to last about 10 years.
Yes.
So they weren't built to be insulated, they weren't built for lots of,
Yes.
weather and stuff like
I know,
that. They were built to be very temporary.
They're expensive to operate,
Yeah.
among other things.
To Mr. French and Mrs. Lambert, Mr. Murphy, I think this can move very quickly. In our capital improvement plan for next year, we have this as one of our priorities. So for 17, 18, we're moving forward with this both ways as capital improvement and also with the program. We want to take advantage of that $580,000 as much as we can. Whatever much can we put in there, then we'll use that money. The grant is due February, 29th, the 10th.
March 31st.
March 31st.
and it's what we have to bring it here.
To the board.
And so forth.
So we're bringing it to you next month,
Okay.
okay?
So what I hear is it doesn't make any sense to make portable classroom.
If we,
Because we're gonna spend, we should spend the 200,000 now and add 100 and try to seek a reimbursement from the state in the grant. So we should forget about the
portables.
portable classroom.
Yep, and
Is
just
that
go
what
for
I
some-
was, that what
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just
makes
go for the
sense.
middle school.
Portable and electrical,
So
all that
the-
stuff.
Dr. Seuss?
Now I have a question. Is there a statute that requires that we approve a grant application?
No,
No.
it doesn't have to be approved, but
All right, so my point.
recommended that you see it before it gets sent.
Now, well, I can't imagine a circumstance in which a board would vote against applying for a grant.
no.
No, I can't. If there are strings attached to that grant that are,
That we cannot do?
yes, that are more expensive or more onerous than what we can handle, then I don't think we should apply for a grant that would have more strings attached.
Conditions.
No, I can think, yes, I can
Yeah.
think of times when applying for a grant are not in the best interest
That
of our
we
students.
cannot do.
I would hope that our administration will be wise enough.
We do
Not-
that. There are grants that we do
But
not
it
bring to
still
you.
might come through us.
Right.
Yeah, there are grants that we don't bring to you.
Just to clarify, though, this facilities grant through the Alliance grant is not necessarily what you would call an application. It's basically, tell us how you're going to spend
Spend the money,
580,
exactly.
and if it's eligible and it fits our requirements, God bless you, go spend it, okay? Not necessarily, you may get it, you may not get it. It's how are you going to spend it?
So is a
Oh, we set that out
non-competitive.
right from the start. This is what we want it
Right,
for.
right,
So we put the strings that we're attaching to the money ourselves.
I just don't want to slow down applying for the grant.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I
I
wanna
wasn't
minimize the
insinuating
red
that.
tape.
Right. I wasn't insinuating that, but I don't want us to say carte blanche that we approve any grant you want to apply for because that's,
I mean, they could even have a grant that says Murphy Sewell would have to step down, and I
So this is a non-competitive grant. It's a non-competitive grant. It's a non, okay. So good idea, the portable, and we will get back to you with these. I will be meeting
I
with
could be bought, John.
Wade and with Johnson, Mr. Johnson.
Give the
On the
district
back
enough
of this report here is what each school requested. This is what each school requested to the superintendent in their budget. And so that's what you have here. And the last page, what you have is the cost of the contractual obligation. Those are the increases in salary and benefits, and so you see the total there will be 1.18. Chris, that's about another 3%?
It's approximately 3%. The teachers get a little more than 3%, and some of the other staff get less than 3%. So on average, it's about 3%.
Okay. And this is the request from each one of the schools. So you have that with the cost. So I'm going to stop here a little bit and see what question you have. The next time we'll bring you a lot of other cost drivers, but you're seeing some of them right now. The contractual obligations, the benefits, special ed, going to be a big ticket. We need to talk about transportation. We're still looking at those numbers for transportation. And what about the health plan?
Well, typically, working with Anton and Lockton, our broker, each year, they send us their fully allocated rates, which is the full premium rates for single, double, and family. And typically, we see medical increase by about 4, 5, 6%, and RX typically double digit. So how that combines together, and then it also segues with the contractual co-pays in each union contract as far as how much does the union member pay and how much does the school district ante up. So I just basically factored in some of that to come up with an estimate of the benefit increase. Other benefits may also increase, which are like, as salaries go up, the FICA Medicare match goes up. Every year we see that we have to contribute slightly more to the non-certified Aetna pension plan. So there's, the big drivers are basically fully allocated rates, the premiums, and the RX medical. Dental seems pretty stable usually. But I think, what was the estimate we said about 300 and?
300 and something.
Yeah. So that should get close to what we experience.
And although we have the new high deductible plan, we don't expect to see any savings this year at least.
The first year, they told me it's very difficult because we had to seed money and the 50% of the copay, which turned out to be about over $300,000 that we put into people's HSA accounts, health savings accounts. That's the 50% of the total deductible, which can be either $2,000 or $4,000. So we would see the $1,000 for a single and $2,000 for family and double. And that, of course, is high upfront costs. The only way we can get that back is if a lot of people don't hit the deductible, don't go into the over 4,000 or over 2,000. But the first year, at best, it's a break even, if not outflow rather than savings. But we'll see in the second year. They said that we'll be able to see some savings.
Yeah, but we're not going to let any savings this year.
So, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So if I'm reading this, I just want to make a full understanding. I thought when we were looking at 1.1 million, that's a total increase. But if you do the wish list, we're almost 2 million.
These are not included.
Right.
The
It's
wish
about-
list,
it's about
new position,
four.
are not included in the $1.1 million. No, it's
So
not.
we're looking at almost $2 million plus 200,000 for the portable classroom.
So we're going to take the portable classroom out.
No, but we may have to shift, that to the middle school, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But the point is, taking the portable or whatever, the money for capital out, is still almost a $2 million increase.
Correct.
Yeah, it's 1.973 million.
Yeah.
Like you said. But that doesn't factor in any.
Yeah, well, how about 39 cents, I thought I saw.
In your head, it's like a calculator. And then this does not include what we're seeing in special ed increases.
Yeah.
So I have a question with the special ed. It said the number that was distributed in the packet for 15-16 is about 13,440,000 and change. Is that correct? Is that where we are?
That is both, yes, 920 or 930.
953.
Is IDAB. There's a part of that's IDAB, but the lion's share of it is right in our general fund budget.
No, it just says, the exhibit says special education expenditures for,
What year?
and it totals up, the last one totals
Right.
13,440,000.
Yep.
That's the
Okay.
cost.
That's about 4% more than the year before.
Yes.
The year before was almost 8% more than the year before that. So the big jump wasn't this year, from last year to this year.
It's this year.
It was the
The year before,
year before.
13,
So-
14.
What the heck happened 2 years ago?
We don't-
Why did we get an 8% jump?
I think what happened is.
Well, we were shipping
that base
everybody
year
out.
was understated because of not including some of the school-based
I wasn't here, so I cannot
specialists
say.
in that money. So the second year includes all of those specialties.
So you're saying the 13, 14 isn't really the total special ed expenditures?
The next year, the middle year is the accurate year.
Okay.
Because I changed the methodology and allocated the people that were in the schools to the special, like we have specialties like speech-language pathology, we have specialties that are carried, sometimes some psychiatrists at a school, and also portions of administration get allocated to special ed. So because the methodology was switched, it increased in that second year.
Okay.
But the following year was the same methodology.
But
So-
wait, Chris, they had to be someplace regardless of what year. I mean, they have to be either on the school budget or on the central office budget. So wherever you put them, it's still a cost in
Yeah,
special ed.
but what I'm saying is, some of that jump that Dr. Sewell is alluding to is a change in the methodology of the spreadsheet that I use to do the EDO-01.
Okay, but changing the methodology is one thing, but the question is there a change in the cost? Those people are still there,
Yeah, there's
they have to be
always an increase in-
somewhere.
There's always an
All
increase
right,
in the cost. It
I'm-
just was greater that year because the fact that we allocated some expenses to special education that we should have allocated but didn't in that first year.
Okay, so essentially, the exhibit should be corrected, but what I'm driving at is that if we're going up at a rate of about 4% a year, that means a special ed increase this year to next year, that's a little more than $500,000 right there,
On special ed.
okay? The other thing that's striking about the special ed number is, I don't remember exactly what the budget was that we voted on last September, was it $43 million?
No, 45.
13 million is over a quarter of it. So we're spending 25%, and in special ed, in total involves what, fewer than 100 students?
Yes, but special ed is 25% of your budget.
It's 25, yeah, but I think people need to understand what's happening here to us, is that 25% of our budget is being expended on 100 out of 3,000 students.
And it's mandate.
Now, that's something that we have to do. It's a mandate, it's beyond our control, but it does explain to the public and others why, one of the reasons why our school budgets keep going up the way they go up. That's 4% a year, that's $500,000 right there.
And I'm sorry, you said that we have an increase of special ed this year? How much of an increase?
I don't have the exact numbers, but we do have an increase of students with special ed, and they come from,
It went from about 13 million to close to 13 and a half.
But
It's about a 4% increase.
Hold on, because I mean, it's not, is it that kids are coming already identified as special ed and moving into our district?
we have kids already identified, we have kids that are coming from Hartford, kids that come from
Okay.
Puerto Rico,
Okay.
DCF, lots of DCF. I mean, keep in mind that there is lots of low-income houses in the area, and so people are moving in. And so they're moving in, and they're moving in with lots of needs. We still have the highest percent of ELF, percentage, not highest number, and we are one of the highest percentage of EL, special ed in the state.
Yeah.
So
It's
we're a
not-
small district, but those two numbers are the highest in the state.
It's not just that people are moving in. People are moving in specifically for the services that are available in this district.
Mrs. Lambert?
Is it true that if DCF places a student in Windham from another town, that town is responsible for the student's special ed costs?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes,
I just
that's
wanted
correct.
I wanted to make sure that I was correct
So
on
the
that. That's all.
student coming from Hartford would pay for that.
If they're moving here, no.
If they're placed here by
By
DCF,
By
Yeah.
DCF,
Yes.
meaning
if they're removed
foster.
from their home and placed
What's
here
the
for
most
DCF.
common occurrence in special ed? Is it language? What is the most common?
Language is very costly for us, extremely costly. We have
Is that considered special ed?
No, language
Speech
acquisition.
What
pathology,
is the
speech
most
language.
common-
Speech pathology,
Yes,
yes.
that's what mean language. I'm
Like-
sorry, I know that he's
Oh,
talking about
okay.
that. The evaluation is extremely costly. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars because we don't have any bilingual speech pathologists. So that's a service that we have to contract out, and it's much more costly than any, it's very costly. But we also have a lot of students with severe deficiency and disabilities that require outplacement. Those two students, those came into us now. One was 180, Chris, one was 190,000, and the other one, how much?
The,
One is 196.
we have
The two.
one student at the School of the Deaf, that's 190,000.
And the other one, 250?
We're,
Yes.
that's Windham Place, so we get 85,000 we have to cover until the state picks it up. And then there's a new person that recently moved in that requires a residential
Sure.
home.
And that's 250?
Dedication, teacher and transportation, and that's.
Two something.
250.
250.
And how much of that are we required to cover, all 250, or?
Also, Windham Place, we cover 85.
85,
And
85%.
for
When you
this year,
consider-
half of a year, and for next year, the whole year.
The whole year.
Each of those students, if they were a Windham High School student, their tuition, their per child expenditure would be $14,000 per
No.
student?
16,000.
Is it up to 16? Okay,
In
so
total,
16,
with
right.
special funds.
So that's almost 70,000 more, 69,000 more per student than what we are on each other individual high
Yeah.
school student.
Yeah.
And that's what we're required to pay. Above that
Yeah.
comes from the state, so.
So that's,
expenses
the
are-
budget in special ed is very heavy. When 25% of your budget goes to special ed, I mean, special ed is costing us more than ELL right now, much, much more than ELL.
Well, when we're already operating on a shoestring, adding an extra $85,000 per student that we weren't anticipating, that's 160 right there.
Yeah.
You know, on tight budgets, so.
I mean, the middle school has 3 programs, I think, or Chrysalis, Cougar, and
Camino,
Camino Alto.
Camino Alta and Plaid.
Plaid and Chrysalis,
Then
yeah.
Natchog has a special autism program. I think Sweeney has.
Sweeney
an
has one,
autism-
we just started this year,
has an
new one.
autism program, and then North Windham.
Norwindo has one.
Has one as well. So we
Yeah.
have a whole assortment of special.
Sweeney program, they'll start, that's a new one that we just started this year. And we're looking to expand in the program at Norwindo. So, yeah.
Booze, we got smoke signals over
I
here.
know, I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot of money for special ed. I'm
Yeah, I'm going
sorry.
to start with a few more dollars here. Percentage, a little under 5% right at this point, with what we have here, about the $2 million.
The 2 million is 4.3,
And then you have to add special ed.
and then we have to figure out what the special ed impact us
Okay,
next year.
now let's go into another great thing that happened this last week. Federal money. How much federal money do we have? I mean, I know the lunch programs and everything else is federally funded.
Right.
And as of today, there may not be any federal money coming to
For lunch?
sanctuary cities.
Yeah, we're a sanctuary city
No.
now, and Trump is saying that he's
Right,
cutting
but
any federal
sanctuary
funding.
cities do not affect the towns. They are allocated through state. So Connecticut will get whatever, and then they
It's got nothing
disperse.
to do- it does, it's not going, you don't know where this is going to go yet.
Right,
So
But
there's a
don't say
chance,
it
We know one
doesn't
place
come
it's
to
going
the
to go. It's going to
town.
go to court first.
right.
but in any
And we're not,
case,
fortunately, we're not going to have to pay for the court suit.
doesn't mean the money's going to be distributed first either. So you've got the federal funding, you've got the lunch program and so on that you have to take into play here. So I didn't know what kind of money the federal side would be on our budget.
We get a total, Chris, of 14 million in grants. How much of that is federal?
15
something.
Both federal and state.
State.
And other.
Yeah, but you don't know what just the federal side is?
Oh, the lion's share is the state, of course. That, I'm thinking it's like 10 million state, 5 federal.
For federal, yeah.
But still, and that's inclusive of the lunch money?
No, no.
That's not inclusive.
Those are the
of
lunch money.
That's off to the side.
Side.
That's about 2 million plus.
All right, so you may have $7 million floating here.
That we may not get?
Huh?
That we may not get?
Executive order went into play today,
Today? What is
Today.
that?
Affecting,
affecting
Sanctuary
any
cities.
sanctuary cities.
Will not get federal funding?
That money will not go, federal money will not go to any sanctuary cities.
Oh.
That's why I'm bringing up the 5 million, the 2 million. That's something to think about that our town council may want to go and relook at. It is not a pretty picture. Never mind just a regular.
That's will increase the budget, big time.
We will not have a budget.
Big time.
We won't have a budget.
There won't be a budget.
I mean, it
We will not have a
sounds
budget.
unconstitutional to me.
Please?
It sounds unconstitutional.
Unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional.
Why?
Sign it.
If the federal government, same thing with the state of Connecticut, all right? If you've been around long enough to see how the state of Connecticut lies to you constantly, you play ball,
ECS funding.
ECS funding is one of them, Common Core. The state of Connecticut did not have to apply for Common Core, but if they did and got money from the federal government, they had to play ball by the way the federal
Teacher
government says.
evaluation.
That's how grants.
So
work.
this is how the grant
That's where the
works.
strings.
So if you're not going to play by Big Daddy telling you how you're going to, you're getting a grant to spend X amount of dollars, and then you all of a sudden don't play the way that they want you to play, they can say, well, then you're going to lose your money. So that's not unconstitutional.
When they voted on that, did they know that those rules were going to be in place?
There was already a threat of that, and they still went ahead and did that. Doesn't mean it can't be unchanged.
So now, these are federal grants, so you're talking about your IDA grant, that's the IDA grant, you're talking about your Title I.
Title I.
Title I,
Any federal
IDA.
money is now in trouble in this community because we're a sanctuary city. And it's something that we really need to look hard at. It took 3 weeks for the town council to do this. They're going to have to think about undoing it very quickly.
Well,
And
If
it's
this-
not, so let me just make this statement. We're not the only community that did sanctuary.
There's 9 other
There's
communities.
Heaven.
New Haven, there's a lot of communities
There's 9.
throughout Connecticut that did
9,000.
this.
But that doesn't, mean there's 300 throughout the country. Doesn't mean that they can't be, the funds
Right.
can't be taken
And-
away.
Can't be withheld until we do what they want us to do.
Right.
Well, that would be devastating for us, because you're talking your Title I, we're talking IDA and Title I.
You're talking maybe $7 million?
$7 million that we need in this budget. There's no way we can come
Well,
up with
that's
any-
why we have to be very cautious with this, and we have to plot forward very cautiously at this point, but we don't know. I mean, all I can say is that executive order was signed today.
What time did you sign that? 'Cause I hear everything he does on a daily basis, but I
This
didn't hear that one.
afternoon.
I don't know, he hasn't tweeted me yet.
It was signed this afternoon. I saw it when I was.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, that's his best hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't sleep, only 3 hours a night.
Exactly.
Those are things we just have to be aware of in the environment we're living in right now. And as unfortunate it is, I think that it's necessary. And I think at some point with the new year, Dr. Garcia, maybe we can get a workshop on what, if anything, we can do to protect the students that are currently here, what the plan
That's
is. Because it's a big concern. We have, I mean, Stephen
Many
graduated
families.
with half a dozen undocumented students that I know of, you know what I'm saying? And they're not running around waving flags saying, here I am. So I know there were probably several more. And what we're going to do to try to protect our students. I think the sanctuary city thing and the environment we're living in was necessary, but I think we also have to be mindful of losing $7 million that we could use to help protect these students in a different way or something like
I-
that, so.
I hear what you're saying, but I think that, I've been reading about this thing. One of the questions is, in spite of what you call it, all right, we can pass our town council will pass a resolution and call it a sanctuary city resolution. The question is, what counts as a sanctuary city under the, he signed the executive order, but they're going to have to establish regulations, and the question is, what are you doing, or planning to do, or threatening to do that counts as, because the ordinance that we passed essentially says that, that we're not going to volunteer to do police work that we're not required to do in the first place.
Correct.
That's not really a change in policy substantively or otherwise. So it may not actually count as a violation of the executive order, even though we've called it a sanctuary city. That's why this is going to get tied up in the court. Bigger cities than us are going to fight this battle in court, and it's going to be a while before we know exactly whether or not there's a real threat of losing money or not. So, yeah, it's a little early to panic.
Really? How about if they just say like there was a hiring freeze? It could just freeze the funds. Don't mean you're going to get them.
Hiring freeze for
So the
federal
panic,
workers.
He
the
already did that.
seriousness of this needs to be
Yeah.
taken into play. Because they don't have to give you the money.
That,
And they could sue, we could sue. And how many years down the road before you're going to get your money back?
I was going to say.
You're still in
it's tied
trouble.
up.
Plus, you gotta pay legal fees then.
Yeah, it gets tied up in court for many years.
Yeah, so.
it depends on how the courts respond. The courts could enjoin them against withholding the money until they settle the suit. Could happen. But the
Lots of
point is,
hypotheticals.
we can't do squat about it. I mean, we can talk to the town council about whether or not they really ought to rethink
I
the
think-
action that they took.
I think they need to legally look at this very hard.
Yeah.
And make sure that they didn't make a mistake.
Right.
You know, the planning, I think it is a possible scenario. It could happen, so I think we should think about it and just be aware of it and have contingency plans for it.
So,
For $7
first off,
million,
$7 million, there goes our
for
portables.
$7 million.
More than one.
Portables anywhere.
But you know what, something's gonna happen, I mean, if we are a sanctuary city, and if we don't get
Right,
$7
small.
million, something is gonna have to be done. I mean, so we better be thinking ahead of that.
I don't want to be in that position. $7 million? How many teachers does that mean, Chris?
I don't know.
All of them. Every single one?
Chris will be teaching.
I don't want to.
Economics.
It could happen, we never know.
Okay, so I do want you to be aware, however, though, and Mr. French did mention it, the things that the school asked for. I know that last year there were a lot of concern about what the high school asked for, did not ask. This is what they came to and requested for next year.
Okay, I have a question about that, too.
Yes.
Not all as I understand it, not everybody's met with the Student Governance
The
Council.
only school that I'm aware that have not met with the student government is the high school.
Okay.
So
So the high school,
they have until February 15th
so,
to meet.
They're not here.
So the
so
school governance
their
council
wish
knows
list
about all the rest
their
of
wish
them.
list might be tweaked a little bit after they have that meeting.
I'm aware that the school governance council of the other schools, I'm aware. I personally attended the middle school where Brett presented this to her school. I know that Natchog did theirs. They had a lengthy discussion. I know that Sweeney, the only school that I'm aware that has not done their meeting is the high school.
So all the other schools, SGCs, are aware of what the request list is?
That's my knowledge. The principal signed a form saying this is the discussion of the budget. And to my knowledge, the only school that has not done this is the high school.
And they have until the 15th.
They have until the 15th. To my understanding, there was a meeting scheduled for the SGC at the high school. It was canceled, and so they have to reschedule. So I saw some email going around there, rescheduling a meeting for the high school. It was canceled by the SGC, to my knowledge. The middle school, because I wanted to attend the high school, the middle school had their on Monday, and they presented this to the SGC, and it was a very productive meeting.
So now all the principals have till the 15th to get this to you.
Yeah.
According to the budget timeline, Ms. Testa emailed me, the 20th, which is President's Day, the board is going to get their numbers
Yeah,
on President's Day?
well, we closed that day.
Right,
So you get it, then they will come back.
so the 21st.
The
Yeah.
21st.
Okay.
We close at the end of 20th, so Chris and I.
Well, that's a vacation day too. so
We're not
we won't
coming
get
to
it
work
till-
that day to get you guys the
We won't get it
numbers.
till the 22nd. The
Yeah.
21st is also a vacation day.
Yeah,
That's
so you
our
get it on the
February break.
22nd.
Okay.
We'll be working on the numbers, but we're not coming into.
Where you going?
Okay. I'm sorry, Mrs. Fort Myers.
Dr. Sadie might be able to answer this, but do you know what the rationale is for the high school asking for one dean? Or why they
Yes,
would like another
Yeah.
administrator?
Another dean?
okay. No, they don't have a dean right now. They had a director of guidance that we made director of guidance and / dean of students. According to them, the high school is having some increase in behavior issues, and the position of dean and director of guidance together cannot accomplish the purpose of really handling discipline, since guidance itself is a high position that requires a lot of attention. So they wanted someone dedicated only to discipline. Now, I do have to say that when I speak about having given the high school a dean, or the request of a dean, I don't want this to be thus only referrals of discipline. There's lots that need to be done regarding behavior of students, how students should behave, and it's also how teachers can respond to students that are misbehaving. So hopefully the person that we get is one that has knowledge of how to handle student behavior, how to diffuse behavior, and how to change student behavior. I personally witnessed something Thursday in high school that was not, Thursday? I think it was Thursday, one that was here. So, that request was, they made the request and I put it in there. I don't know if we want to call it the dean, but maybe it's a dean / somebody with really knowledge of behavior management.
But that would be an administrator.
An administrator?
But there's a line for a dean, it's not the same as an assistant principal. Is that correct, Geraldine?
Correct.
There's a line
It's a
for a
lower
dean.
pay.
It's another lower paid position.
But it's an administrative position. They have to have
What
a
is?
90.
902, 092.
Oh,
yeah.
92, thank you.
Yeah. But based on all of this, we can't present, I'm pretty sure the board is not going to approve a 4.3 budget. Last year, this was contingent of discussion. And so I have not said to you, we haven't said, okay, what can we approve or not approve? I'm just bringing you their requests for you to see what they're requesting. This will come up to 4.3. The town cannot afford a 4.3.
Well, that's my question. What percentage do you think you should move that?
You know, if we just look at the contractual obligation and benefits, that's a 3%. Now, the problem with only having a 3% increase every year is that you don't have money to do other things and other initiatives. So we're at the expense of grants to get other things done. And so today I was looking at another grant that we need to apply and another grant that we need to apply that don't have tied, Mrs. Lambert, so we're not tied to things that we cannot do. But that's the disadvantage of only getting the contractual obligation and the benefits, is that it doesn't give you room for any other thing. Now, one of the things we can do is, and we have not made any cut in position. We have not made any cut in position because, as you see, enrollment is increasing, so they're requesting requesting new position. But, and I really take a look at the position request, meaning I really take a look at enrollment. So there's some school that, no, you're not getting because you don't have the enrollment, and things like that, so.
You're also going to have to consider what the state's going to be cutting. We don't know what the impact.
We don't know what the state's going to be cutting. What I do
ECS
know,
might be cut.
what I do know that the state will cut, and that's, is for already, the $100,000 they cut from the Alliance,
Alliance
that's a
district.
permanent cut already in Alliance. So we'll be getting 100,000 less in Alliance next year, plus whatever they cut in addition to that.
There was a webinar, Monday,
Yes. Yes,
on ECS.
Yes.
And the cuts
Thousands
are
of
coming.
something, nothing
Yeah.
compared to 7 million.
the cuts are coming.
But they may be a shift, because if I read between the lines, I think Malloy's going to try and shift the money more to the cities, and he's going to be hurting the towns.
Nevertheless, I think.
No, I'm just saying, there's still going to be some hit.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah, he
not.
tried to do that
Hold on.
last year.
Excuse me.
The
Mr.
problem is the
Montalvo?
votes in the legislature balance the other way.
Dr. Sewell, one at a time. Mr. Montalvo.
I was going to say, how about central office? The budget still the same, or they have a wish list, or?
Central office, we have not have no wish list. We have zero wish list.
Zero wish
We
list.
have no central office administrator. I'll be meeting with central office next week, Friday, but the only thing that they're requesting is like supplies and materials, but Geraldine HR is requesting some diaper software to get rid of all the files that we have from the last 40 years, things like that. But we have not requested any
No? How about communication liaison? Still there? or,
communication position.
Position?
That position has not been removed from the budget, it's still there.
It's still there.
Are we searching for that?
Why is the reasoning, if I may ask?
Why the reasoning?
Yeah.
Because we do need a communication person.
Yeah.
We're behind right now, Dr. Garcia, the one doing all the newsletter and everything, and we're really behind.
Because that was one of the reasons why the budget didn't pass the first 3 times or something like that, because people were very upset about that position.
But it's
and
needed.
now-
It's,
So I don't know.
One position, however, that I do think, as you can see, I'm behind with the newsletters that you haven't got any, okay, because I'm the one doing it, those type of things. One position, however, that we have not put here for central office, and when I meet with my cabinet Friday, that I will put, is that we, after conversation with Director of Finance, the Director of HR, and the Assistant Director of Finance, it is crucial for us to have a benefit person, someone that understand and is knowledge of all the benefits, including retirement. So that's something I'll be meeting with Chris and Geraldine, and Chris, Geraldine, and Rita about. we do need, and that was one of the recommendation of the consultant that worked with us, that, and when I met with Mr. Neil Beats, that was a suggestion that he definitely agreed with me. Benefits needs to be out of finance, it needs to be in HR. And I think the town have it the same way too. And we need someone that is knowledgeable benefit, particularly now that our plans are changing and they're much more complicated. Our medical plans are going to, high deductible plans, they're much more complicated. We have different contracts that have different guidelines, so that's a position that you don't see here, but it's necessary.
Yeah, because people have come to me and voiced their opinion too, so I just voice my opinion through them, because they said, with that salary, that represents 2 teachers, or 4 para, or 2 custodian, that is more need that position. And that's what they say, because those people I mentioned is dealing with kids.
Yeah.
This position does not deal with kids.
Okay, so very good.
And according.
So very good point. But in a school system, not everyone that works in a school system deal with kids. For example, the director of HR does not deal with kids. However, a director of HR is a necessary position for the operation of the school district.
I definitely agree.
So there are positions that are necessary to deal with kids, but are necessary for the position of the operation. Mr. Brandon O'Neill does not deal with kids, but his position of director of technology is necessary.
So he goes home.
It's necessary
They
for the
deal
school
with kids at
district.
home.
So, just imagine a school district that only have teachers and paras. They are
I
the key.
do agree with that, but I just voice the opinion that somebody.
And
There's a lot of
I heard
people
that
just,
too. I heard that.
come to me and say that, so I just,
That's okay.
yeah, Mr. Murphy.
Mr.
So,
Thank you, Chairman Juan.
You taking my
To me
role?
and say, okay.
well, all right, so there's been discussion of this position ever since
years.
we put the position in the budget in the first place. There are very few people in,
Adamowski that put that position.
well, we agreed with him
Okay.
Yeah, like we had a choice.
on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay. There are very few people in this town that have much experience with a $60 million organization, because I think we're the only $60 million organization in Windham.
No, Windham Hospital. They can lose.
And Windham Hospital has more than one more than one communications person, who's paid a lot more than we were paying in our budget. I did notice, by the way, when there was an issue in the Manchester school system that ended up in the paper, that the person that was quoted was their director of communications. So we're not the only school district with a director of communications. An organization of our size and our complexity needs somebody paying attention to public relations and communications. Okay? We can debate about the qualifications, maybe the name of the title and the size of the budget, but somebody has to be doing that job. Okay? And we were not paying that much compared to what a business organization of our size would pay a person in that position. It's, we need somebody in communications, maybe not as much as we need somebody in HR, but we'd still need somebody in communications.
You're good, Geraldine.
I just picked up, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that, that's the title is there.
Right under the boss.
But we do need the job.
Mrs. Lambert?
Not Dr. Lambert.
Not Dr.
I have 2 questions. One is for Ms. Osuba. I did not see the ROTC that we deferred on an agenda in January, which was supposed to be the case because it was deferred to January. It has not appeared on an agenda yet. And that was also a position that needed to be included in the budget because we had to pay part of the salary if we were intending on doing that. And then the, go ahead, you can answer that.
Yep. The ROTC, the day after, the board did not want to vote on the proposal. They called Dr. Garcia, and they needed an answer within 24 hours, whether we wanted the program in our district or not, because there were 2 other districts that wanted the program in their districts. So there was a waiting list.
Communicated to us.
There was a waiting list.
Because I know Ms. Lassard and I have both been doing some research on it, so I wish that would have been communicated to us sooner rather than waiting till now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, save us both some time
Yeah.
contacting people
Oh,
and
no,
having conversations.
been
Okay.
contacting I did my own research, the pros and the cons, and then Dr. Garcia received a call. There was nothing we can do within 24 hours.
No, but you could have communicated it.
And
to us.
I didn't, and I guess my emotional
Yeah.
took over because I was very supportive of this program. I still, since that, have made a phone call and see if they can give us an opportunity. But what I said to Ms. Silver is, I do not want to go through bringing all these people and then talking if the board is not ready to make that vote. Because again, then we go back to the same
decision.
situation again. So, I think the board needs to have a conversation if they're willing to support the program, and then we could go forward. But if not, it's a waste of my time, a waste of their time, and effort, and have another school waiting for a program that is dying for it, and we keeping that school system waiting. So if the board is willing to support it, I am willing to go back out there and fight for it again, but I don't want to take that opportunity away from some other kids from another school district that could have it. And I want to thank Mrs. Lazar, that I know is very supportive. Mrs. Lazar attended the budget forum we had at the middle school a couple weeks ago, and Mrs. Lazar can speak that it was a topic of conversation that came up from parents. Parents wanted to know why it was not voted, why we're not in favor of it. And Mrs. Lazar was very articulate and communicated that she was in favor of it, but the board did not vote for it. And I told parents to please come to the board and express their concern. But I want to thank you for going to the budget meeting, referendum, but there were parents that expressed their concern.
But we never said no.
Yeah, I want to clarify
never
that. I
say no.
didn't tell the
Melissa,
committee.
pull the
just say
microphone.
we
No,
just
no,
said
no, no,
Yeah.
no, I didn't want to say that, we don't think that way yet.
Yeah. I did not tell the
Yeah, we
committee
didn't vote on this, we
voted
haven't
to.
voted, and I am partially in favor of it, but I just need more data. That's why Melissa and I were doing kind of our own research, independent of each other, and we discussed it, and, I've been talking to this school district, I've been talking to this one, I've been, trying to find out about it. I know there was an email from Mr. Smalley, or
Mr.
some
Smalley
data
did
from
send
Mr.
something.
Smalley.
So what is your opinion now that you have researched it?
I haven't seen anything from Mr. Smalley.
No, I
And
don't
I-
know if it went to the board, but what is your opinion now that you have done your research?
I think it could be good here. My concern is that we're having a hard time keeping 60 students in Echo, and it's having trickle-down effects on the rest of this building, and 10% is the number that you're supposed to shoot for ROTC. I don't know that we would have 60 students. If we're right around 600 students, that's 60 students.
10%.
Those are the numbers that I've seen, and I know a couple school districts are having a hard time and are on probation. That's been communicated to me, on probation, because they can't maintain their minimum number
Well,
of
you
students.
have 3 years to get up to 60, so it's
Right.
not year one. You have 3 years to get up to 60 students. In addition to that, one of the things that they offer us, that I requested, and they said yes, and they put that in writing, is that we could recruit students from other schools. So Andover wanted to come here, Columbia, E.O. Smith, whatever school district wanted to come. The same way how the students from Eastern go to UConn.
UConn, right.
Eastern doesn't have the program.
Have
but
you
UConn
inquired into any of those other districts on whether they have
I did
students who
mention
may-
to a couple superintendent conversation, but I have not gone back and done the work. And there are superintendent that said, look, I'd be willing to, I have a couple kids. Actually, we have conversation with Windham Tech, because about 10% of Windham Tech students join the military after they graduate.
As
Interesting.
they enlist.
They enlist in the military, right?
Yes. But what we're talking about
They
is
don't get drafted anymore.
an officer training program. Okay, an officer training program requires a college degree.
Yeah.
We're talking about a program that has no college credit at all. It
Not-
takes up
not
space
so-
that could
not so,
be
Dr.
used for
Murphy.
college credit courses.
Not so, Dr. Murphy, Mr. Murphy.
There's no college credit for junior OTC.
That depends on what the district does. That
No, it
depends.
doesn't.
No.
Colleges
I've not
decide
I
heard-
what
know,
they give
but
credit
depends on
for.
what the district allow for credit for the courses. It's up to the district.
No, I'm talking about college credit.
Oh,
Oh, college credits.
Those are the credits that count, particularly when, if you take one of your class periods and put it into this program, that's a class period that you cannot put into ECE or
AP.
AP.
we're not asking you to take
So there
ECE.
are opportunities to gain actual college credits
But
that-
not every student.
that you
in
have to
school-
sacrifice for this program. I don't think that's a wise thing to do.
We'll have to read
Let
that
me
and bring it back
just,
this year.
let me just, if you want Dr. Garcia to go back and ask the feds whether to bring, that we're interested in bringing this program to our district, she will do that. But if you're going to object to bring this into the district, That's a waste of time.
Well, here's the thing, I don't think that Dr. Garcia or anyone else, any single person on this board gets to decide not to. We didn't vote against it, we didn't decide not to hear anymore. We just deferred it. So it should still be on the table. And the information was that it had to be done by the end of January, so I was concerned. And it wasn't communicated to, I don't know if it was communicated to anyone else. It
My
wasn't
apologies,
communicated to
Mrs.
me.
Lambert.
No, I'm not angry, I'm just saying.
No, so my apologies, you're
Yeah.
right.
It wasn't any one of our decisions to say we don't want to see it again. As a board, we deferred it, so it should have come back to us either with information on an email even that I would like to not pursue this. Ms. Osuba could have called or sent an email as the chair because it's your job to put it on the agenda to say, we would like to not pursue this because we don't think the time is right, or something has happened and it is no longer an option for us. That should have been communicated as opposed to just not touching on the subject again. That's my
But I'd
opinion.
like to add something to it, Mrs. Suba. Even if they come back and they, lay out a plan and tell us about it, we could still decide no. I mean, just because what you just said that if we're still interested, Dr. Garcia may come, may bring him back, but that's supposedly said that we're going to say yes. I don't know enough about it. I'd like to know more about it. I'd like to see what they say. I know there are costs associated with it. Everything has costs associated with it. Okay, nothing is free. So there's a lot of things that I'd like to know. I mean, I'd like to find out more, and as I said, I would like to support it, but I need to know more about it.
And I think something that you must all know, that there's a waiting list for these programs to go to other districts. And so what I am saying to you is, I do not want to take the opportunity from another district that wants this program and bring here where we don't know whether we want it or not.
Well, every program have the pro and cons.
Correct.
Doesn't matter what the program it is. And we would like to know those in order to take a decision. Because all we hear is the pro. That was not a very logical decision to make. So we have to hear both sides.
Mr. Flores?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. When Dr. Garcia asked for them to come back, do you can ask them to give you all the information, to give it to us before they come back? That way we have everything.
You know,
And when they come back,
I like that better.
and then when they can hear, we can ask them questions about the program, what they offer, and what is going to be that way we know the cost and
Well, I'm
pros.
going to make the pro, and it's up to them if they want to come. I'll make it
Right.
pro. Because, they have school districts that said, we want you. I mean, they can say, but we're not interested in Windham anymore because we already have X school district that we're going to go to. So I will make the phone call and then let you guys communicate.
If we have all the information in our hand ahead of time, then that way we know when they get here what to ask and not.
If they want to come.
Right,
Right.
exactly. But at least we will have the
Who was first?
information.
Go ahead, Melissa.
We can get on a waiting list too.
Yeah.
I think what, people are saying that they want a lot of information, but I think we need to tell Dr. Garcia I'm fine with the information, but who you guys want the information from? Because I would hate it for it to come from you, Dr. Garcia, and then people say, well, where did you get that information?
No, that's
right.
Yeah, is it really from the Air Force? Like, do people want somebody from the Air Force to come and speak? Is that where you think we get credible information from? So I think that just kind of needs to be established before we
go out.
Thank you, Ms.
we collect all this
Thank you
information,
for
and then people then say, have issues with the information.
I was saying it from them.
Mrs. Lambert?
I had a second part to my question. Dr. Garcia, last year when we did the budget process, we talked about moving positions out of grants. And I understand with losing the 100,000 and possibly even 7 million, my concern is that we have a lot of positions still in grants, including all of HR. We just keep picking on poor Geraldine tonight. But if we lose Alliance grant money or other grant money, do we have to cut positions in HR because those are grant-funded positions? So when we do our next budget presentation, which is next Tuesday, Wednesday, the 31st, whenever that is.
31st.
Do we have a time on that? That's Tuesday.
I think it's, 6 o'clock? It's 6 o'clock, the budget?
The 31st is 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
The budget
6 o'clock?
presentation?
21st at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, yeah.
31st.
The 31st is Tuesday.
Right, next Tuesday. No. Yeah, there's a workshop
It's next
January
Tuesday.
31st,
It's at 6
Tuesday.
o'clock. It's 6 o'clock.
Right, is it 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here?
Is it in this room?
I don't remember where, it's right here.
It wasn't on the thing that was sent to us. I didn't have a time.
We sent it to you already, we just sent it to you, but we'll send it back again. We'll send you, it's here.
Okay, there
At 6
wasn't a
o'clock.
time on it, that's all. But if you could give us a listing of how many grant positions, if any, have moved over the past year, if there's any that you're intending to move, if there's
Into
any
the
we're
general fund?
losing, if there's any we're losing because of grants being cut. That's all valuable information, not only for the board to have, but for us to
Like
be
that
able to
question.
express to the Board of Finance that because Alliance District money was cut by $100,000, we've had to either remove or move into the general fund this many grant-funded positions. I think that's important for them to see that we're trying to use the best use of our money. But it was a huge concern for me last year that all of Geraldine's department was in a grant, and we haven't been able to move them because of financial issues. I understand that, but we have to be able to express that to the community as well.
For HR, Dr. Namaski put HR in, the entire HR department under.
Under a grant.
Under the grant, under the Alliance grant. Our
He did that to keep the
increase
local
in the
budget
general fund has not increased to the point that we're able to move HR out of grant. So in order for HR to come into the general fund, we need an increase in the budget of 4.6, 4.7, right, Chris? 5 point,
Absolutely, $500,000.
$500,000. So when the board is ready to have a conversation with members of the town and.
When we talked about the strategic plan in September at the retreat, too, we also talked about trying to move positions out of grant funding as best we can. And I'm not being critical, I'm not being confrontational, I'm saying we need to know which ones are grant funded and which ones aren't, and why we haven't been able to move them. I understand the numbers.
Yeah, Ms. Lambert, your request is very valid. I'm not being, believe me, I'm not being confrontational. Don't think anyway. Your request is, we need to know, I ask the question all the time, who is in grant and what grant? Okay, all
And
the
what are we
time.
going to lose because of the $100,000 cut?
And what we're going to lose, that I can tell you what we're going to lose, we already did that. But I asked them, okay, Chris, I want to know who's getting paid here. I mean, I can tell in Alliance grant who we have, in Title I who we have, who the limbs of, Title III who we have, everyone that we have. The issue with moving people out of the grants is that to the general fund, is that the general fund is not increasing. You only increase by contractual obligations. So when it does not increase beyond contractual obligation, I don't have anywhere to put them.
I understand that. I just think it's
So-
valuable information to be able to put out there to answer those questions as well. When the Board of Finance says, why are you asking for a 3% increase? Well, we didn't get much of an increase last year, very insubstantial increase last year, and our goal is to move these positions out of grant funding, and we can't do that.
So let me give you some good news or bad news. The state does not like that we have talent in Alliance. The state, that's a fight every year.
Yes, Commissioner Wenzel has communicated that.
They want it out of Alliance, but that's $500,000. I said to her, I don't have where to put $500,000. They want it out of it. They
But
don't
maybe-
want HR.
But maybe we need to have a 5-year plan to get it out. So maybe we should be booking $100,000 a year so that in 5 years it's
So we
out.
need to get some money from some type of savings that Dr. Murphy does not like, that we have money reserved somewhere. We have to start figuring out how we're going to get that from workers' comps. I don't know where, workers' comps, where can we get the money? I don't know, retirement, I don't know, somewhere.
I've been restructuring the middle school as a source to downsize.
Don't tell that to the middle school parents right now.
Yeah.
Don't say that to them right now.
Are we going to 2?
Not next year. Not next year. They all are in the budget. But as we restructure sixth grade, maybe eventually that will happen. But next year, that will be a political nightmare. The parents and the school are not ready to go. We're making some changes in sixth grade. But I will say that's step by step. That's not something that you go from night to day. So Chris,
Maybe it's a
please
discussion
don't
that our
let
board
stay
chair
again.
or our
That's a
budget
political nightmare.
committee chair has with the Board of Finance, too, that over the next 5 years, we'd like to allocate $100,000 more per year, so that way we can move this out of grant funding.
Okay,
because
so
it
we
could
move it
go
out
away
of
at any
grant
time.
funding, and then what do we do with the, money's fungible,
Yeah,
it doesn't care where it comes from.
but the conversation needs to happen.
If we were to move it out, what will we do with the $500,000?
Well, it's going to go away pretty quickly.
If it goes away, then you got to solve the problem,
You
but,
have to assume any grant's going to go away.
well,
But the question is, once you get it, when you need to continue getting it, because it will cost every year $500,000 for HR. So it's not a one-year deal. It's an every year situation to pay HR.
Right, but if we increase it by 100,000 next year and 100,000 the year after, so that would be 200,000 the year after, if we increase our budget by that much, we can slowly wean HR out of the Alliance grants.
But once
and
you have
use it.
$500,000 the following year, you need another $500,000.
Yeah, but it's already.
But it'll be built into
But it's
our,
in the
it'll
budget.
be built into our budget, exactly, it'll be built into our MBR, so that way we don't have to ask and then we can use that Alliance money when we still have it until it gets cut by the state or by the $7 million we're going to lose federally. As it gets cut, we can put it towards resources.
That goes, Mrs. Lambert, if they don't go and cut our budget. Remember, finance always cut our budget.
Okay,
But it's a
so take a
conversation,
look at
that's
what you
I'm
can
saying. This
use.
is what we're trying to do. We're trying to ensure that we can keep these departments that we desperately need. I mean, HR, it's not like that's a fluff
It's
department.
not that important. but-
Yeah, it's not that important. No, it's not like it's a fluff department. So if we communicate to them, this is what we are trying to do.
This is our plan.
And that will then give us more resources for students, for infrastructure, for whatever.
I agree with
It's
you.
a conversation. If they say no, then when we have to come back in 5 years when Alliance is cut and say, we either have to get rid of HR or you have to give us $500,000, they can't say we didn't try.
I agree with you, because I think Alliance will be cut sooner or later.
Oh, yeah.
I think it doesn't matter of
They're going
time.
to chip away at it.
Yeah, little by little, it doesn't matter of time that Alliance will
That'd
be
be
cut.
little by little this year.
And it's not only us, it's 30 districts.
Oh, I understand that, but we're showing that we're trying to plan for this eventuality. That we understand that keeping things in grants. I mean, when Stephen and your sons, your twins, were in Sweeney, they had the Reading First grant, and reading scores went like that, and then it went away, and it's slowly come down because we've lost the resources and the trained professionals to be able to do that. So we recognize, not just academically, but business-wise, it's not a good business model to have. This is what we're trying to do. If the Board of Finance says, thank you very much, no thank you, then that's their decision, and we have to work around that. But if we don't ever try, then when we come in 5 years when the money's gone and say, we have no more HR and we need $500,000, they can say, well, you should have planned for that.
But there's an easy thing, we can just say Dr. Adamowski did it, and they don't love him at all. So we're golden.
Okay, and before we get too far afield, can I say one thing about that ROTC? If we decide that we want to pursue that, I think we need the high school in the conversation. Because the way we're looking at it is, if we were to decide that we want a junior ROTC, we turn around to high school and we say, here it is, galump, right? How do they work that into their program? You brought up the issue the last time we talked about it, of the scheduling of the gymnasium. Yes, you can use the gymnasium for drill space, assuming that no one else is using the gymnasium, but other people are using the gymnasium. So do you want to have drill at 3 in the morning? Probably not. So how does this program fit into everything else the high school is doing? The high school would have to implement and administer this thing.
Absolutely.
So however you want to look at the program on its merits, we also want the high school to be able to weigh in on, okay, if this becomes a program of the high school, how are they going to implement it?
Come on, Dr. Sewell, you never got up at 6 in the morning or 4 in the morning to do PT?
I was in ROTC. I went to class at 7:40 in the morning to take my ROTC courses.
Well, we already have kids in school at 7:30 in the
Then I got to drill outdoors in the winter.
In 10 meters snow,
No, they allowed us to wear shoes. They made us polish them. But we drilled in the dusk. Most of the school year, it's dark at 5 o'clock in the evening, and that's when we went out and marched around in little squares.
Okay, so let's get
We
back.
move the question,
Yes,
otherwise
let's
we'll
go
be here
back.
until 3 o'clock in the morning.
What, is there a
Go
question?
ahead.
What is our situation?
What's the question?
ROTC.
Okay, hold on.
Do we have all of them? Are we including more in the budget? How is it going?
Okay.
Are we still short in some positions?
Teaching positions?
We have, Darlene, how many positions, we don't have any position vacant. We have people that need to, they're working for the license, but do we have any position vacant right now? Teachers?
No, we have a couple in progress.
We have one at the middle school that has us, well, not associate to, but it has a long-term
Yeah, we
person.
have, yes, we do have
Wish
someone
list,
from
I only
South.
see one, bilingual teacher.
No, there are more than one. That's a request for next year. This is the request for next year.
That's correct.
This is a request for next year. So the high school is requesting one, a ESL teacher. Windham is requesting a bilingual teacher. That's 2 right there.
That's it?
That's it?
Oh, no, 3.
Natchaga is requesting 1.
One,
So they're requesting those, 3.
so that's
Yes.
3.
So all the teaching positions are filled right now?
Yeah, but believe it, there are people that are going to be leaving, and some of these are going to be leaving. And one of the things I don't think we took into consideration that much is the number of, well, actually, we're hiring a bilingual teacher right now for the high school because they have a high number of newcomers.
Correct.
Just
That's
now.
why I said it's in progress.
So we hired one right now, the middle of the year. So that's a new position that would be in the budget for next year also. So you can expect minimum of 3 new position in bilingual, it may be a little bit more dependent on enrollment.
Wanted to make sure that we cover.
And we will be losing some of the ones that we have. That's going to be the issue.
But they're still in the budget, so we can.
Oh, they're still in the
Right,
budget,
right,
right, yeah.
Okay.
So we can hire for next year. Okay.
Well, there's one area that we haven't actually talked about, places where we might be able to save some money in the budget.
The microgrid should save us some money.
Electricity, I think it took that into consideration already.
There's that, but
And some electricity.
the point that I made a year ago is that from a administrative point of view, we are staffed as if computers had never been invented. This is one of the places where, it's interesting, you pick up the paper and you find a company is laying off a large number of people, and yet their sales and profits are increasing. And you ask, well, how is that possible? It's because of technology. We've been applying the technology as well as companies have, but we have not, because of the differences in the way organizations work, we have not downsized or right-sized, or however you want to look at that. We have not adjusted the way we do a lot of administrative work based on the technology. And there are savings to be had, not instantly because you're talking about people. But there are places where we can reduce staff.
And is that something you're looking at, Dr. Garcia?
And we're going to have to look at that because, as you pointed out, if you look at the contractual increases and the requests for additional teaching services, you're talking $2 million.
Plus special ed.
Plus special ed, which is going to go up another half. So we're talking $2.5 million. Well, we're not going to get $2.5 million out of the referendum. We're going to have to find ways of reducing some of our expenses elsewhere to pay for that. Or we're going to get less than we're asking for. And this, probably we're not going to be able to fund all of the requests on the dream sheet.
And that's probably the first thing that's going to have to go. I'll give up my salary here.
And transportation's in flux right now, because there's been some struggles there, so.
We have some struggle with transportation.
Not me.
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate that fuel costs have stayed in the $2 and something range and haven't gone back up to $4 a gallon. But that could happen too.
Yeah.
We locked into some very good electric and gas pricing for the upcoming year. I guess both electricity and gas produces electricity. They're both at all-time lows, so we locked into rates that save both the town and the board $500,000 over 3 years.
So we got a 3-year contract?
We have, I guess we consume over 20 million megahertz or something, so we got a 3-year contract that saves both the town and the board $500,000 over 3 years.
And the stock
So how
market was
much?
good today.
Well, that's good. If that's done pension, then we don't have to contribute.
And then your investments are better.
20 point today. That's,
Yeah, I want to go check my stuff when I get home.
well, you have so much money.
Trump
Won't be able to
He has nothing to do with that.
So are we all set?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, the stocks went up, but we lost $7 million. I'm not quite sure that balances out.
Yeah.
That's because you kicked
So just to
sand
get
in somebody's face.
just to get some clarity, so the next budget discussion is January 31st at 6 o'clock?
It's a budget workshop.
Okay.
And the chair of the Board of Finance and the Finance Committee, chair of the Board of Finance will be there. That's where we discuss the numbers, cost drivers, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
So that's strictly in money.
okay.
Strictly money.
And that
Numbers.
meeting,
Numbers.
and that meeting is going to take place here.
Here.
Yeah, right here.
Correct.
6 o'clock on the 31st.
Any
adjourn?
further discussion? That's it? Okay.
I guess we can discuss it after that. It's just the day that we were planning to change from the 22nd to the 21st. I guess you have to cancel, close the meeting and then.
We can discuss it. That way we can get availability from the board members.
What are you looking to move?
So we have the workshop on data scheduled for the 22nd of February at
Okay.
6 o'clock.
That's Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday, so that's but we're having a lot of difficulty in my office with my schedule and some other staff member schedule, and the secretaries are running crazy trying to figure this out. And so we wanted to know, since it's just a review of district data, if we could move it to Tuesday.
I can't.
You can't.
I'll be in Florida.
Okay.
Oh, you'll be in Florida anyway, so.
You're
gonna be in Florida
back to
anyway.
Wednesday, though?
I'm going for spring break.
Yeah, she's gonna be
Okay.
in Florida, so
I
Tuesday,
can't- I
Wednesday,
can't
she'll be in Florida, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
Monday or
matter.
Tuesday,
You're not
doesn't
in
matter.
college no more.
I didn't get to go when I was in college. I was working 3 jobs to pay tuition, so.
So
Barefoot
Tuesday,
and uphill in
She's
snow.
gonna be in Florida.
so I'm sorry, you're moving from from Wednesday
To
to
Tuesday.
Tuesday, February
21st.
You saying
21st.
the 21st is a holiday?
Yes, the 20th and the 21st are President's Day weekend. It's when we're on school vacation.
So
school's closed.
shut down.
So school's closed.
That was my point, because you said you'd get the book to us
But we
on the
could have the
20th.
board meeting, the data meeting anyway.
If you want to,
Well,
yeah.
school is closed, no?
So you're bringing in the staff?
Yeah, we,
The
You do it the
building will be
23rd?
closed all day long.
No, it's for, no, we're gonna go over for us.
Can you do the 23rd?
No.
we've generally not had board meetings when the schools are closed.
Well, then, okay, then, if that's the case,
Yeah, why don't we
not an
do it-
issue. Hold on for a second.
I'm only one person. If you guys have it,
We did do it one time.
No, you're not, because I'm not
Look at the calendar.
available.
We can fix this right now, hold on for a second.
Mr. Flores Alvarez is no longer available, so there it is.
Not available either.
2 holidays you go.
Please.
Just be patient at Mr. Dr.
Yeah.
Flores, Dr.
I wanna be
Gomez said.
here.
Hold on for a second, let's give us this date here. Can you go to February for a second?
That's February.
Ms. Lambert, you'll be back from your spring break.
Spring break for us is in March.
Yes, it's March. Right.
Okay, so what happened if we look at?
Eastern has March, Windham Public Schools has April, that's what he's referring to. And then, in June, he leaves for the whole summer, because he has such a tough life over there, Dr. Gomez, so.
Let's say, so what if we look at, the 28th?
Of February?
Yes.
The 28th sounds fine, I'm okay.
And what's that, a Wednesday? or-
That's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, that way if people want to go away for the spring break, you know.
You already have a budget forum on the 28th. That's
What is
budget
28th?
forum number 2.
Then let's do it on the 27th then.
The Monday?
Yeah.
27th?
I'm not going to be here on the 27th.
We can do it,
Monthly,
till-
because
we can do it
tomorrow's
tomorrow,
Monday.
Dr.
Without me.
We'll survive.
So you're going to do budget forum number 1 and budget forum number 2, 2 nights in a row? If there are questions from number 1, you won't have the opportunity to
No,
get. Answers,
the
but-
data is not a budget forum, it's just data,
It's
district
just
data.
data for us.
It's not a budget forum.
Oh, okay.
It's for us.
It's for you, it's not a budget forum, so we
Right.
could move it to the 27th.
Okay.
If everyone, this will really be helpful for us.
So does that work for everybody? February 27th, which is a Monday, except for
Time?
Murphy?
So what is February 27th?
I'm on
A
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah,
At what time?
What is it? 27th?
It's a data workshop.
District data.
Yes, district
Dr.
data.
Murphy could call in, okay,
What time are you intending on doing that at?
6 o'clock,
6? Does that work for
Can we do
everybody?
6:30?
6:30, if the board,
I'm sorry.
the board, that's fine.
If nobody
Fine.
objects, if somebody objects.
February
And then,
27th?
What's the other day? 28?
No, the 28th is a budget forum.
That's a budget
previously
forum.
scheduled
That's
budget
not
forum.
ours.
Where is it?
Budget forum, that's the next budget forum, no.
Right.
Here?
That's the 28th is when the
That's the
superintendent
superintendent.
does her formal presentation of the budget to the board. That's what's listed on the calendar Ms. Testa sent out.
What day would that be?
That's a
Tuesday.
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 The
28th.
Right.
Chris, we have to get
The
this
very
budget
next
done.
day.
Chris, we better get this budget done. We don't
And
have
that's
Carrie to help
that's
us.
at 7 PM.
We don't have Carrie.
And then the 1st, you also have a BOE budget presentation.
March the 1st?
Yep, so 3 days in a row?
March the 1st, no, I don't have anything March the 1st. Check it in.
Hold on,
Take a
I'll
look.
look it
We
up.
got
March
John-
1st is Wednesday.
Yes, it's that same week. So that means you all have to see all of us for
Yeah, well, it
3
would
days
be
in a row.
Monday
3
the
days.
27th, Tuesday the 28th, and what would be on Wednesday?
You sure not March the 1st?
Hold
I
on, I'm
can't
looking
because
it up.
Janet will schedule something for me on the 1st that,
Yeah, March 1st.
I know, but
Budget
Janet will
schedule.
schedule something,
Okay.
what is it?
February 28th is the superintendent's budget forum. March 1st is superintendent's presentation of budget to BOE along with capital plan. According to the email that Janet Testa sent me
Okay,
on,
I'll tell Jonathan, she scheduled something for me that day, she has to cancel it or reschedule it.
workshop number 1 is next week. Workshop number 2 is supposed to be February 16th.
What is the next, what is Wednesday, the 8th? And the calendar, I don't have the calendar.
March or 8th, or...
March the 8th, what do we have?
It's a Board of Ed meeting.
Yes, Board of Ed.
Board of Ed, yeah.
February 8th is the Board of Ed meeting, and February 22nd is the Board of Ed meeting. On the 22nd, we're supposed to receive the budget book also.
On the 15th, what is on the 15th?
The 15th is
That's our
dollars for scholars.
That's our deadline, too.
No, March 15th is our deadline.
Right, that's what she said.
Right, no,
March
February
15th.
15th is
Oh.
not our deadline.
Did you say March or February?
March 15th.
March 15th,
Right.
she said. Okay.
That's St. Patrick's Day,
That's,
What?
right? The 15th is St. Patrick's.
17th.
17th. That's the most important day of the year.
It's a Friday this year, too.
And the 19th is St. Joseph.
Oh, and it's at Lent? It's in Lent season.
Yes,
So
it's
we'll-
That means
we'll
the bishop's
leave
gonna
that
come
up
out and
to
say
you
it's
and
okay,
then
you eat meat on
27th.
Friday.
So I will say, you guys, February the 27th.
It's amazing how they can write
February
these
27th.
things.
Okay.
okay. So we're all set for February 27th.
27th, 28th, and
District
1st.
data.
Yes.
District data
On the 28th.
is budget.
superintendent budget
It's a
form.
superintendent's budget form. Will that be here at the middle school then?
Yes.
Dr. Garcia, here or at the middle school?
I don't know, I don't have it with me, but I'll let you guys know when I send it on Friday.
Okay. And then the 1st, which is that following Wednesday,
It's a
is
presentation.
a presentation here during a board meet, well,
Yeah.
during a special board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I will send out the calendar again on Friday.
all right. Motion to adjourn, any?
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Boy, everybody jump on that one.
John and John.
Motion to